If you are struggling with poor circulation, you know exactly what frustration feels like. You have likely spent hundreds of dollars on generic multivitamins, hoping for a miracle, only to see zero results. You look at the bottle, read the label, and wonder why your feet are still cold, why your legs still feel like lead weights, and why the numbness won't go away. The harsh reality that most supplement companies won't tell you is that standard multivitamins are essentially useless for serious vascular issues. They contain trace amounts of nutrients, just enough to keep you alive, but nowhere near enough to actually heal you. To physically change the structure of your blood vessels after the age of 60, you don't need a shotgun approach. You need a sniper approach. You need specific therapeutic doses of 3 very particular compounds. These 3 vitamins work in perfect harmony to scrub your arteries, restore flexibility to stiff veins, and signal your blood to flow freely again. Today, we are going to throw out the complicated routines and focus on the Vascular Trinity. I'm going to break down exactly what these 3 vitamins are, the specific forms you need to look for, because getting the wrong form is as bad as taking nothing at all, and the precise dosages required to see a difference. And please, do not skip ahead, because the 3rd vitamin on this list comes with a critical warning about timing. If you take it at the wrong time of day, you might as well not take it at all. Let's begin with the first member of our trinity, the vessel dilator. We are talking about vitamin B3, also known as niacin. But before you rush to the pharmacy, you need to understand that niacin comes in 2 very different personalities. One is a polite, quiet version that does very little for circulation, and the other is a powerhouse that acts like a pressure washer for your arteries. The version found in most heart health blends is called inositol hexanicotinate, or no-flush niacin. People buy it because it's comfortable. It doesn't cause any side effects. But unfortunately, in the world of vascular health, comfort often equals ineffectiveness. To truly open up capillaries that have been constricted for years, you need the flushing form of niacin, also known as nicotinic acid. Why is the flush so important? That sensation of heat, redness, and tingling that spreads across your face and chest about 20 minutes after taking it is not an allergic reaction. It is visible proof that the medicine is working. That heat is the physical sensation of your smallest blood vessels forcefully expanding. It is the feeling of blood rushing into areas that have been starved of oxygen. Niacin works on a dual mechanism. First, it triggers immediate vasodilation. It turns your narrow 2-lane country roads into 4-lane superhighways. Second, it alters the viscosity of your blood. It helps reduce the stickiness of your platelets, allowing blood to glide through your veins with less resistance. This takes a massive workload off your heart. However, because this is a potent compound, you must treat it with respect. You never start at the maximum dose. The protocol is to start low and slow. Begin with just 250 milligrams taken once a day with a full meal. This food buffer helps manage the intensity of the flush. If you can handle that warmth for 2 weeks, you can graduate to 500 milligrams. This is widely considered the therapeutic sweet spot for circulation. A pro tip for managing the flush: if you find the heat too intense, taking a standard baby aspirin or a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory about 30 minutes before your niacin can significantly dampen the sensation without blocking the benefits. But remember, the goal isn't to avoid the flush entirely. The goal is to tolerate it so your vessels get the workout they need. As always, because high-dose niacin can impact liver enzymes, this is a conversation you must have with your doctor, especially if you are on statins or have a history of liver issues. Now that we have widened the pipes, we need to address the structural integrity of the pipes themselves. This brings us to vitamin number 2, the calcification remover. Imagine an old garden hose left out in the sun for years. It becomes hard, brittle, and cracks if you try to bend it. This is exactly what happens to your arteries as you age. They lose their rubbery, elastic quality and become stiff. A major culprit in this process is calcium. We all know calcium is good for bones, but it is terrible for your arteries. When calcium floats freely in your bloodstream and deposits itself into the walls of your blood vessels, it turns them into bone-like structures. This is called arterial calcification. It makes your heart work harder and restricts blood flow to your legs. This is where vitamin K2 comes in to save the day. Vitamin K2 is the traffic controller for calcium. It activates a specific protein called matrix Glar protein, MGP. Think of MGP as a little garbage truck that drives through your arteries, scoops up the misplaced calcium deposits, and transports them back to your bones where they belong. It literally cleans the rust off the pipes. But here is where 90% of people get it wrong. They buy vitamin K1, or a generic K complex. K1 is great for clotting blood, but it does almost nothing for removing calcium from arteries. You need vitamin K2, and specifically, you need the MK7 form, menaquinone 7. The MK7 form has a much longer half-life than other versions, meaning it stays active in your system for 24 hours, constantly patrolling your arteries for calcium buildup. The dosage here is small but mighty. You are looking for 100 to 300 micrograms per day. Note that I said micrograms, mcg, not milligrams. It is a tiny amount, but it is potent. Because vitamin K is fat-soluble, you must take this with a meal that contains fat, maybe your morning eggs or an avocado. Otherwise, your body will simply excrete it. One critical warning: vitamin K affects blood clotting. If you are on blood thinners like warfarin or Coumadin, do not touch this supplement without explicit permission and supervision from your cardiologist. It can interact with your medication. For everyone else, this is the key to turning those stiff, brittle pipes back into flexible, youthful vessels. We have widened the vessels with niacin, and we have softened them with K2. Now, we need the fuel to keep them open all day long. This brings us to vitamin number 3, the nitric oxide fuel. You have heard of vitamin C. You probably take it when you feel a cold coming on. But the role of vitamin C in vascular health is arguably even more important than its role in immunity. Vitamin C is the on switch for nitric oxide. Your blood vessels are lined with a thin layer of cells called the endothelium. These cells are responsible for producing nitric oxide, the gas that keeps your arteries relaxed. But here is the catch. Your endothelium cannot produce this gas without vitamin C. It is a necessary cofactor. Without sufficient C, the factory shuts down, nitric oxide levels drop, and your vessels constrict. Furthermore, nitric oxide is a very fragile molecule. It degrades in seconds. Vitamin C acts as a bodyguard, protecting the nitric oxide from oxidation so it can last longer and work harder. But you cannot just take a cheap ascorbic acid pill from the grocery store checkout line. Those acidic forms can wreck your stomach lining before they ever help your circulation. You need a buffered vitamin C, often mixed with magnesium or calcium, to neutralize the acid. Or even better, liposomal vitamin C, which is encapsulated in fat for superior absorption. The dosage needs to be significant. We are not talking about the 60 milligrams to prevent scurvy. We are looking for therapeutic levels, around 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams per day. And this brings us to the game-changer detail I mentioned earlier, the timing. Most people take their vitamins at night before bed. For vitamin C, this is a mistake. Vitamin C can have a mild stimulatory effect on the body. It wakes up your metabolic processes. If you take 2,000 milligrams of C right before you try to sleep, you might find yourself staring at the ceiling. But more importantly, think about when you need your circulation the most. You need it when you are awake, walking, standing, and moving. You need that nitric oxide boost when your muscles are demanding oxygen. Therefore, the protocol is to split your dose. Take 1,000 milligrams with breakfast, and if you're taking a second dose, take it with lunch. Do not take it after 5 p.m. By front-loading your vitamin C, you ensure that your blood vessels are primed and open during the hours you're actually using them. So, let's put this all together into a clear, actionable morning routine. We are abandoning the shotgun approach and adopting the sniper method. First, with your breakfast, you take your vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams of a buffered or liposomal form. This starts the day by fueling your nitric oxide production and waking up your endothelial cells. Second, with that same meal, which hopefully has some healthy fats, you take your vitamin K2 MK7 form between 100 and 300 micrograms. This begins the slow, steady process of decalcifying your arteries and restoring flexibility. Third, once you have that food in your stomach to act as a buffer, you introduce the niacin flushing B3. Start with 250 milligrams. Expect the flush. Welcome the warmth. It is the sign that the cleaning crew has arrived. Over weeks, as you build tolerance, you can move this to 500 milligrams. What can you expect from this protocol? Be realistic. This is biology, not magic. In the first week, the main thing you will notice is the niacin flush. It might be annoying, but it passes. By week 4, you should start noticing that your feet aren't quite as cold in the evenings. The heaviness in your legs after a walk will start to lift. By month 3, this is where the K2 really shines. As arterial stiffness decreases, your blood pressure often stabilizes and your overall endurance improves. You are physically remodeling your vascular system from the inside out. And finally, a word on the myth of the multivitamin. I want you to go to your cupboard right now and look at your current multivitamin. Look at the label. I bet you it has 20 milligrams of niacin, probably the non-flush kind, maybe 50 micrograms of vitamin K1, and 100 milligrams of vitamin C. Do you see the problem? It is like trying to put out a forest fire with a water pistol. It is technically water, but it isn't going to save the forest. To fix a lifetime of vascular wear and tear, you need therapeutic doses. You need to buy these 3 separately. Your health is an investment. It takes a little more effort to manage 3 bottles instead of 1, but the payoff is a vascular system that works like it did 20 years ago. Stop flushing money down the drain on pills that don't work. Switch to the Vascular Trinity: niacin to open, K2 to soften, and C to fuel. Give your body the raw materials it is begging for, and it will reward you with the energy and mobility you deserve. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a tip that could save your health. Stay healthy, and I'll see you soon.